So I wanted to do a quick video on Isaac and Rebekah and how the servant went to go see Rebekah and retrieve her to bring her back to Isaac. But also I wanted to kind of connect some interesting dots between Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Now I believe Rebekah was at a spring and the Samaritan woman was at a well. And there's also some other parts of the Bible that kind of sparkle a little bit, and it's the places where it speaks of jars. Okay, and I think there's a story where Abraham, a lady in a jar happens. There's all kinds of weird threading through, but I haven't really looked into it too thoroughly yet. But I think there's something there. I've talked about this before in the past, in other videos, but it seems to be coming together a little bit, in my opinion, just from what I'm noticing. And Jesus says to the Samaritan woman, "If you knew who I was, no, if you knew who I am, you would ask me for a drink." It reminds me a little bit of how the servant needed confirmation. You know, if it's her, let her say this. That's what the servant said to God in a prayer. She had said exactly what the prayer was, which is, "Let me water you and your camels." But it was the opposite, where he had to tell her, "If you knew who I am, you would ask me for a drink." And then he confirms who he is by telling her about herself and about her own life. Also, he's technically related to her on some level because Jesus came to the Jew first. And do you remember what Abraham told the servant? He said, "Go and get a wife for Isaac, but not of the people here. Go to this other place and find somebody who's a relative to her." That's basically, technically, I think he's implying she has to be of the same type of people. And I guess there was a time when people would stay within their bloodlines. I have no idea what he meant by that. But I do know that Jesus is technically on some level related because they're half Jews. And the reason why people didn't go through Samaria is because the ground was seen to be cursed because they weren't fully Jewish. And so they were seen to be kind of halflings, and people wouldn't even go through the town, and if you did, you would beat the dirt off your feet because the ground was cursed. So they had kind of a different belief system, and she kind of explains that to him, and he informs her, "You will not worship God on that mountain or this mountain. You'll worship him in spirit and in truth." And so it's kind of a cool thing, because to go and get a relative, he was starting the Great Commission of Jesus, was of first to the Jew and then to the Gentile, but first he went to the halflings. So that's kind of cool. This is part of the reason why the disciples were shocked that Cornelius, who was just a Gentile, was able to receive the Holy Spirit. They could not believe it because it was thought that you had to be circumcised and not eat pork and whatever the rules were back then. I don't know what kind of kosher rules they were keeping at that time. But they were shocked that the Holy Spirit was actually moving and interacting, and they knew they could test the Spirit, that Cornelius, a Gentile, had the Holy Spirit. So now they realized there was a crossover that occurred, but Jesus already confirmed that. Well, this is Linda of Christ King Forever. I haven't done it quite yet, but I think I'm going to. May God be with you.